Haim Shafir, thank you so much for joining me on 20 Minute Leaders.
Thank you for inviting me.
This is such a unique pleasure for me because one of the most memorable memories of growing up is of me playing Taki, which is a card game that you invented in Israel. But probably I played so many more of your games that I don't even know about just because I'm looking behind you and I'm assuming that a lot of these games are the creation of your own hands.
Yeah, well, yes, in Israel, I'm very well known because of the Taki, which is the most famous Israeli game. Actually, it's a similar game to Uno, but it's more advanced. And both games, Uno and Taki, are based on a very, very good classical game which used to be played in regular cards. It's called Crazy Eights. While Uno is just, the crazy eights with different design. But in Taki, what I did, I took it one or two steps further and make it a very strategic and tactical game, especially when you play two players, because I added a lot of cards and I added a lot of rooms, a lot of
Yes.
rules.
Yes.
And this is why Taki became so popular in Israel, because it's an extremely good game.
I have to say that I remember every time and every time somebody put the reverse or the two plus, it killed me.
Yeah.
It's such or change color, such a great game. Chaim, take me back a few years and talk to me about this idea of creating games and using creativity to create engagement among people. I think that's fascinating, and I'd love to understand how you even got to where you are.
Yeah. This is one of the questions which I'm asked the most. How one decides to become a game inventor, because it's not a profession like a lawyer or a doctor or a teacher or whatever. And actually, most people my age, nowadays you can learn the trade. People go to schools, to design school, and they
Yep.
learn how to design games. But when I was 4 years ago, even a little bit more, when I started, it was an accident. When you stumble upon this opportunity, and I started with designing wooden toys with a carpenter friend.
Really?
It was very successful, but unfortunately, making wooden games is a very, very low tech industry, and it's hard to make money.
Yeah.
And in the first year, I realized that IP is important. If you don't have an IP, if everybody can do whatever you do, then at a certain point, you will fall, because somebody will come with a better design, with a better price and better marketing or whatever, and you will find yourself struggling.
Chaim,
So
what
you
year
have
are
to
we?
have, pardon,
What year are we right now?
what year?
Yeah, when is this?
We are talking about when I started. You
Yeah.
mean? I started in 1978,
Okay.
and for a year until 1977, 78. And for a year, I was involved in wooden toys.
Yeah.
And then I realized that I have to have something which can be protected by copyright or by name or brand or whatever. And then I moved to games, printed games. And I also realized that if you have a strong IP, which is easy to manufacture, and it's not so low tech, you have to, wooden games or wooden toys, you have to do one by one. It's a very, very,
Yeah.
um, for some process. If you have a good game and you have good design, you put it in the printing machine and then it runs,
Sure.
and you can reach numbers. And that's what I realized in the beginning. And later on, I realized the value of a brand. When you have a brand which you worked very hard to build, and with this brand, you create strong relationships with your customers, you become protected. Because Steve Jobs taught me something very important. Unfortunately, I never met him, but he said something which is a beacon to my thoughts. He said once, I remember many years ago, he said, you buy Microsoft because you have to, but you buy Apple because you love. And I said to myself, this is it. I have to develop loving relationship with my customers. I have to love them, I have to appreciate them, I have to serve them, and hopefully they will love me back. And if you look behind me, there are millions and millions of people around the world who love my products, and I'm protected by their love. They will go into the store asking for my game. I don't have to struggle with the store now to do me a favor and keep my games in the store. They need to have it in the store, or at least those that are in demand, because people ask for them. And that's what I did. That's what I created in 40 years. It takes a long time,
It takes
or
a
a
long
lot of
time.
money, or both.
Chaim, that's inspiring. Talk to me about this idea of family style games and people engaging with each other. Is that sort of a motive in what you're doing? Because all of these games, they're interaction between people, right? I remember one of the highlights of playing these games for me was friends would come over from school in the neighborhood, and we would just take out Taki or Eretz and we would play,
Yeah.
and it created such a nice feeling between us as friends that we wouldn't have necessarily gotten in any other way.
Well, as you see, I mentioned Steve Jobs as a teacher, and I have another teacher which gave me a tip of my life, and it's Plato, Plato.
Yep.
And he said that people express themselves through another. I mean, we need the other to express who we are. And if you understand that fully, you understand that everything that engage people together, in the end, no matter what happens in the world, people will need that. If it serves the basic need for people to interact fully, this is a product that will always, always be in demand. Of course, you have to be good. It has to be affordable. It has to be suitable to the time, to the
Right.
whatever, to the technology. But interacting, helping people to interact and enjoying and benefit from this interaction will always, always be in demand. And that's what I realized in my career. And what I realized is that people need the joy of meeting, and all my games are based on that notion.
Yes.
Sorry,
It's okay.
my my um, my games are family games. What is called family games, and family games have two important traits or characteristics. One is they have to appeal to the adults without frustrating the young.
Yes.
And on the other hand, they have to challenge the young and not be boring to the adults.
Yeah.
So you have to find that area in which there is no difference between adults and children. And because if the parent plays with a child as a favor, he's doing it as a chore, the child knows that. He does not enjoy the interaction enough to enjoy the meeting and to get the full benefit from this interaction. So my job is to interact with the parent, because the children want to play anyway. They will play anything just because they love to play. But the parents need a lot of push, a lot of help to fall into this trap. I call it a trap
Yeah.
of doing something just for the joy of it. Because as adults, we don't choose things because we enjoy them. We cannot afford it. So
Yeah.
we are used to do things because they benefit us.
Yes.
And to do things just because it's fun, it's difficult for adults. It's not difficult for children.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. So we have just about 10 minutes left, and I have to get into the mind of a game creator. You sit down, and let's take Taki for example, or any other game. What process do you have to go through to come up with this masterpiece that at the end millions of people around the world enjoy spending hours and hours on?
Yeah, first of all, it takes a long time to make something very simple. And games must be simple if you want to interact with a lot of people and you want to engage adults and children together. So to create something which is very, very simple yet intriguing, you need to know how the mind works. In order to create an arena into which you invite people from different cultures, different
Yes.
age, different mentalities, different education, and you want to interact so many people, you have to know what is the common denominator, not the low, but the common denominator of all people around the world. And I mentioned one of them. It's the common denominator of all people is we're interactive creatures. We want to interact. Through interaction, we get realness. We get to be in touch with ourselves through the other. We cannot get in touch with ourselves. We cannot. Our self is their interaction with another. There is no self without the other. So when I want to create a good game, first of all, I have to be very, very much indulged with what makes us joyful. I want to have a joyful feeling and joyful meeting, and I use the game as a tool to get that.
Right.
So I'm not thinking so much about the game mechanism, but I'm thinking about the experience that I want to take people through, and the mechanism helps me to bring them to the points I want them to get.
And what tools do you use? I mean, do you just use a pen and paper and you start jotting down ideas, or you talk to friends? I mean, what happens from this moment of eureka to the moment where
There
it's
is
in the
no,
store?
there is no method. It's chaotic.
It's
Total
chaotic.
chaotic. If you're an inventor or creator or an artist and you look for a method, you're in the wrong business. There is no method. There is only the desire. There is only the passion and the curiosity to find the leads and the tips and the ideas to start another journey which will bring you to that algorithm which will drive people to indulge with what you prepared them to. You prepare something for people like a meal. You say, okay, come test my meal. You never
Yes.
tested before. Maybe it's similar to something, but this particular meal you never tasted. Please try it. And as a chef, you're very anxious to see whether they like it or not because
Yeah.
it's a new experience. And whenever they do, I'm happy. Every time it's the same anxiety. Will they like it? Will they love it? Will they buy it?
Chaim, how many games have you created?
Over 100.
Over 100 games.
Actually, if you mean, they're not 100 SKUs. There are 100 different algorithms, but from each algorithm, there are sometimes numerous variations, in different countries.
Wow. So out of those 100 plus, how many overall failed? As in they didn't pick up, people didn't enjoy them, versus people got so enhanced by them.
Probably I can say throughout the years, well, you cannot divide it to two. It's not binary. It's
Yes.
like some are bestsellers, fortunately. Some are total failures, and most of them are in between. They're just nice games. Some
Yeah.
of them are good, but not bestsellers.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I have some bestsellers. One of them is one of the top-selling game in the world.
Yes.
It sells in 35, 36 countries,
Wow.
and it sells in millions. And
Did you get a chance to play it yourself, Taki?
if I say it again,
Did you get a chance to play it yourself?
of course, sometimes some of my games I still play today because I love them.
Oh, that's amazing.
Most of them I'm bored. I cannot play them anymore because I play them so much, and it's not fun for me to play them anymore. Especially, I don't play them anymore because they are finished. There is nothing I can do to improve them, and they are done. Those that I can still improve, I keep playing.
So, Chaim, the golden question is, when you play Taki, do you feel like you have some sort of upper hand because you've been thinking about this game so much, or do you find yourself in a position where, yeah, people are still beating me because of the nature of the game?
When you play one-on-one in Taki, your capability and your expertise is an advantage. So I'm a good player. But if I play against another good player, then we're even. So if I play against a rookie, I will beat him. Not every time, but throughout time, I will I will devour him. And I do it sometimes because I play. We have an app. We have a Taki app, and you can play it. It's a wonderful app. You can play it with others all around the world. And if a rookie comes and play with me, I beat him. I don't mind. I will
Okay.
crash it.
Well, Chaim, when I'm back in Israel after this whole Corona thing, you're gonna fulfill a life dream of mine and entertain me for one game of Taki, and then I'll always be able to know that I tried beating.
But if you're a good player, then we will be even. So then,
I'm starting to train today. That's the idea.
okay,
So we have some time. Chaim,
okay.
where does this curiosity come from? How, I mean, you could
Oh
be,
yeah.
you could do startups, you can do drawings, you can do architecture. Why board games? Board games.
Well, actually, it was just luck. I started with wooden toys because a friend of mine was a carpenter and he suggested we do something together. But then when I started to be involved in the toy industry, I fell in love with it because it involves things which bring joy.
Yeah.
And I was so fascinated with the idea that I can make a living with bringing joy. And it captured my soul, and I cannot think of myself doing anything else in the world because
Wow.
being a mechanical engineer as I am, and using your expertise as a mechanical engineer, and using my knowledge in psychology and philosophy
Yeah.
and gaming and everything to create products that bring joy is more than one can ask in a lifetime. It's
That's wonderful.
making a good living from this
Yeah.
is more than I expected. Just being able to live from doing what I love is enough.
Well, Chaim, your sense of your personal fulfillment just transcends this Zoom call, which I think is beautiful. Before we leave, I'd love to know three words that you think would best describe yourself, or if I would ask anybody who's playing your games, how would they describe you in three words?
Wow, it's a difficult question to ask a
Yeah,
person. I think curiosity is the first word. I am a curious person. Anything which makes my curiosity flourish, it makes me like a child.
love it, love
If
it.
I run across something which fascinates me, it's wonderful. I love people that can drive my curiosity and fulfill my curiosity.
Yeah,
The second thing, I love people. I love interaction with people. I believe that through interaction with people, we become more whatever, more human, more smart, more wise, more happy, more joyful, more. So whatever you want into your life, you always get it through interactivity. So this is the second word which will describe me. Very interactive person.
yeah,
And the third is, I always look behind my shoulder, or I'm always afraid of missing an important message that I could collect from life. I mean, when you're an artist or you are a creative person, you get messages. You get messages. People say something, and suddenly it's something which spring. It makes you jump from your skin because you got a crazy idea or a wonderful idea or whatever. And I always live with the fear that there was something out there that I missed. So I'm alert all the time. I'm alert. So the third word will be alert. I'm 70 years old. I passed 70, and I'm still alert. And I hope I will be still alert for many years to come.
And you're still creating games, right?
Oh, yeah.
Haim, continue doing good for the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
This is wonderful.
And I hope it was interesting for the listeners.
Fascinating. Thank you.
Okay.